Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people too. And we've got one for you today. This is unbelievable. Chris Kamara is one of the country's most entertaining and brilliant commentators, currently working for Sky, a football of legendary status, and here to talk to us today about something quite serious. Chris, how are you?
Well, what a fantastic intro, I have to say. Thank you. Yes. Were you talking about somebody else there?
No, I'm talking about you. And I'll tell you what it is. Most people on the telly are quite boring and they don't have the ability to think on their feet. And that's your skill, isn't it? You can come up with something out of the blue, pull it from thin air and make your punters laugh. That's brilliant.
I don't have to work at it, to be honest. So it must be something that's just inside me, I suppose.
What is it? The upbringing? Was it a family of talkers and you had to sort of fight for attention? Because you've got the gift of the gab, haven't you, fundamentally?
That's what my wife says anyway, yeah. So, but no, it's obviously I was brought up in Middlesbrough, but I think I learnt my craft in dressing rooms all over. Since I was, 16, I was put into the first team down at Portsmouth. And in those days, back in the day, the senior professionals used to hammer you and batter you, and some of the apprentices who I was alongside at that particular time would crumble under the fact that the senior players would slaughter them, whereas I used to come back with a riposte here, there and everywhere, and you learn to look after yourself in no uncertain terms.
I've got to be honest, I know nothing about football and care even less, but I did work with Larry Lloyd once on Century and we did this phone-in together, and the one thing you realise about it is you can't fake it, and there are those moments when you get caught out, and in a way they're the things that have defined you. People love it when it goes wrong and seeing how you sort of squirm out of it, don't they?
You're obviously talking about when I was sending off down at Portsmouth. I have to be honest with you, in those situations, well, you either blag it and try and pretend you know what you're talking about, or you hold your hand up and say, I'm sorry I didn't see it. And thankfully, at that particular time, I didn't try to blag it, because there are other situations where I have tried to blag it. And I held my hand up and it couldn't have worked out any better.
It's a beautiful bit of TV. It must be great to be in infamy for something that's positive, because let's face it, often in football people go down for the wrong reasons, don't they?
They certainly do, yeah, because obviously the media's out there and they're waiting for you to fall. But they, the media do get a lot of stick for the way they attack people once they fall from grace. But I've got to be honest, the way the media treat me, I have to say thanks very much.
And then, of course, you've formed this amazing career on the back of it. And again, it's a tricky job that you do because, I mean, we're both in live media and one wrong word can end your career. Do you lose sleep over that? Because being witty and funny is one thing, but it can also cross over into offensive and people don't like it. It's a tricky balance, isn't it, when you do what you do?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think about it, because Ben Shepherd, who I work with on a Sunday morning for Goals on Sunday, he's always aware of what he says, how he says it. He tells me that on Twitter, you cannot say anything on Twitter that you wouldn't say to your wife and kids and all that type of stuff. You've got to be really careful. Well, I don't. I just try and be me. And unfortunately, if I come down by being me, then unfortunately that's the way it goes. And I have to be honest, Sky are really good on a Sunday morning where they leave me to be me. But there are one or two producers who are worried about what I'm going to say. And what I just say to them, look, I've been doing Goals on Sunday for 15 years now, and it's me. And I'm the least racist person in the world. I'm not homophobic. I have a laugh and a bit of fun. And if one day ever something came out that wasn't quite right, then you hold your hands up and apologise and you take the consequences.
And God, we love you for that. I mean, the truth is, when we're live, things do happen and things do slip out. I worked with Ben once. It's just a shame he's so ugly, isn't it, really? That's his...
Yeah, the ladies do love him, but I have to be honest, he's been fantastic for me on Goals on Sunday. And, of course, we do Ninja Warrior together for ITV. He's been absolutely brilliant, the most professional person I've worked with, and has learnt me a few things along the way. And, like I said, he's always... I could probably do one or two things in rehearsals and he'll say to me, oh, don't say it like that. And I just say to him, look, you live and die by what you say. And he just says, oh, just be careful. So he does warn me from time to time, yes.
Hey, listen, we're going to talk more about your career in a moment. One of the things, though, that you're here to talk about today is this campaign with Charity Drinkaware. Middle-aged men tend to drink at home, and this is a real problem. I think we forget that when we're at home with a pint of this or a drink of that, it adds up over the week, and we're mostly drinking at home now and not in pubs, so we almost don't notice it. It's quite worrying.
It is worrying, and for the first time ever, really, since I've been doing the Drinkaware compare calculator, which everybody can download. Go on the internet and see for themselves and work out what they do drink on a weekly basis. It's quite frightening, really, because I'm 3 or 4 days a week away from home. And the days I am at home, my wife's as good as gold, and we have separate rooms, one where I go and watch the football, and one where she watches the telly at night. So the only pack that we have is when we do go to bed, we watch Coronation Street. We'll either watch one episode or two. But she
romance isn't dead, Chris.
You're not wrong. And normally after 5 or 10 minutes, she's fallen asleep anyway, so I can switch it off.
I find nothing more erotic than Norris late at night in the bedroom.
Exactly. So what happens is, obviously, I'm not asking anybody to pack in drinking totally, because obviously, like I said, I'm away from home 3 or 4 days a week, and I often go down the bar in the hotel and have a couple of beers before I go to bed. But adding it all up to what I do social drinking and what I've been drinking at home, I did it on the drink compare calculator, and there's only 11% more men in the UK drink more than me. So
wow.
I couldn't actually believe it. I thought, it can't be right. So I did it again. And once again, it came out with the 11%. There's only 11% drink more than me. So I thought, right, I need to start doing something about this. I need to not cut down the social drinking, because I know I couldn't do that. You know, when I, on my travels and things like that, hotel rooms aren't the most exciting places to be, so I always have a couple of drinks, that's for certain, just to get rid of the boredom.
Hotel rooms can be exciting. It just depends whether you're watching Coronation Street or doing other things.
Well, I only have to watch that at home, don't forget. That's our pack together. So, although I do like Coronation Street, I must say.
Too much, though, isn't it? 2 episodes a night. I mean, life's too short for that. I don't mind 1 episode, but 2's too much.
Yeah, exactly. So then I started to look at the drinking that I was doing while I'm watching the football when I'm at home, and all of a sudden realising that sometimes that 1 glass of wine has turned into a bottle of wine, those couple of beers have turned into 4 or 5 beers, and then adding them all up, and then you realise that, hang on a minute, this is not going to do you any favours in the long run. You need to take stock of this, and that's exactly what I've done, and just recently become a granddad, and Solomon, his name is, and I want to play football with him in 10 years' time in the back garden.
Did you see the Bobby Davro thing on Channel 5 of the week, where we're all now alcoholics if we have a drink a night? And I just worry that the fun's being sucked out of life. We've all got busy lives and pressured lives, and we all work so hard, and we need a drink. What are you saying? In moderation is the key. Is that the rule?
Social drinking, I'm not saying stop at all. Basically... just be careful, and certainly just look at it. There are days when you can go without drinking. Why do I need to sit and watch every match with a beer when I'm at home? Maybe just have a soft drink or beers without alcohol. I've tried a couple of those, and apart from the fact that if you only have 3 or 4, it makes no difference whatsoever. The taste is more or less the same. Because it's one of those where if we were in a room together and I filled up a jug of non-alcoholic beer and alcoholic beer, and you just sat there, you wouldn't get drunk on 3 or 4 pints anyway. So why would you say you're going to get drunk on 3 or 4 pints of non-alcoholic beer? Like I said, the taste is almost the same, so I could con you into that.
All right, I'll take that. I know what you're saying. You can find out more by going to the website, Drink Aware. We have to be more aware. I know the pubs have sort of shot themselves in the foot. It's so expensive. We get the cheap booze from the supermarket, and it's in the house, and it's tempting, and it's there, and you're absolutely right. We've got to moderate it, because we're going to end up with a generation of people who are normalised by it. It didn't even used to be in the house, did it? That was the difference.
No, not at all. I went for a health check the other week in Leeds, because my wife makes me have one every couple of years, and the doctor said to me, "Oh, thank you for being so honest on your drinking." And I went, "Why?" he said, you have 55 units a week. And I thought, oh, Christ, thank God for that. I thought it was going to be a lot. And, and he went, that is a lot. He said, the advice is 14 units a week. And to be honest, my wife filled that 55 in the first place. So I didn't realise that the number was 14 for everybody, and 55 is nearly 4 times over the allowed alcohol. And he just said to me, look, in the long run, it will catch up with you if you don't drink in moderation. So all little things like that just make you think. And I did a a men's health 6-pack challenge with all the presenters 5 years ago. And that you couldn't drink any alcohol for 6 weeks on that. And it was a challenge that I won out of all these presenters, and I lost the most weight and built the most muscles. But we were going into restaurants after about 4 weeks, and my wife was begging me to have a drink because I was miserable. And I wouldn't. And I did this thing, and it's one of those things where I did it, but I will never do it again, because and that's what I'm saying to you. I'm not here to plead to people to say, stop drinking whatsoever, because I like drink and will. All I'm saying is just look at how much you are drinking.
You can find out more by going to Drink Aware. Just put it into Google and it will come up. My final question, I always ask you guys, you were so talented, you were so popular, you were at the top of your game, and you were paid a pittance compared to those today. Do you have any bitterness about that? Because you were so successful, and if you had that success some 20, 30 years later, you'd be living in a 450-bedroom mansion, wouldn't you?
To be fair, I earned big money when I was at Leeds in 1990. So people will look at it and say it's not £100,000 a week, but it's £100,000 a year in 1990. So, you have to compare. Everybody says that.
I suddenly don't feel sorry for you, Chris. I don't know why.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Footballers did earn big money back in the day. They did earn money. It was all relative. They're just not earning ridiculous money in the way that the players are earning today.
Chris, we're going to have to go because I'm out of time, but I want to thank you so much. You're one of my favourite people. Keep on keeping on, because you are such a brilliant personality to watch on TV. And for somebody like me who doesn't like football, you make it palatable. Chris Kamara, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.